Hello, vinyl community. Welcome to my channel. Coming to you from the Java repair shop, Java Droid repair shop. Nice Star Wars feed T-shirt. I suspect maybe my son picked out for me for Christmas. And as you can see, we do have some fondness for Star Wars in the house. That's a signed Ralph McQuarrie print in the background there. He's the concept artist behind much of the visuals that you see in the first 3 Star Wars movies, at least. I forget if he was involved later, but anyways, today I am doing a contest entry to support the Proghat channel. So Edward was making a push for more than 400 subscribers, and I think he's already up to 430 some. So he certainly was successful there. I hope you get even more subscribers, Edward. I figured I have to support a fellow lover of progressive rock music, so I need to do a contest entry. Here is my entry, and there are a few questions focused around the 60s, which is when Edward was born, and I will just launch into the questions. The first question is, show 3 albums from the 60s. Now my vinyl collection is still very much a work in progress, since I just started kind of a little into the pandemic here. It's probably been building up too fast if you ask some people, but I'll have to mix in some CDs here too to make it a decent response, I think. But so 3 albums from the 60s, favorite albums, I should say. I will start with Frank Zappa's Hot Rat, a great album to me. This is the CD box set that came out, I believe. I'm not sure now if it was, might have been 2019 for 50th anniversary. It was released in 69. Maybe it was 20. I got this kind of just as the pandemic kicked off. So this was kind of my first solace, as a lot of time was spent being at home. This has 6 discs with all sorts of different takes and versions of Hot Rat's music. Of course, maybe one of the most well-known pieces is Peaches and Regalia. But certainly you have all the tracks here. If you like Willie the Pimp, you will, for example, also find an isolated Captain Beefheart vocal track. So if you are really into Beefheart vocals, this is the box set for you. I do really also like Little Umbrellas, which is a bit of a somber, jazzy piece, I find. There also is a song on here that I did not make it on the actual album, but not quite sure why, but called Wagner Regis, and it's kind of a fun track as well. So Hot Rats, and that was the last concert I saw before the pandemic, was Dweezil Zappa's 50th anniversary tour for the album. So I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. Then to another very well-known album, Pink Floyd, Saucer Full of Secrets from '68, and sort of some really great tunes on here. And later on we'll get the favorite songs or favorite tracks from the '60s. Remember a Day, I will have to say, is a really big favorite of mine from this album. And I've said it, I think, several videos ago, but if you are able to find David Gilmour's appearance on the English Jules Holland show from 2008, just a few weeks after Rick Wright died, him and his band played an excellent version of Remember a Day in a homage to Rick Wright. Highly recommend tracking that down. But I think BBC might be also highly chasing people that do post it online, so it can be a little tough. The next album I will show is probably not a surprise to many that have watched my channel before. Terje Rypdal, the Norwegian Stratocaster poet, as someone referred to him as. This is his first solo album from '68, Bleak House. Now this is a reissue by a label called Wrong 2. I'm not sure that label is in existence anymore. It was, I think, a label that was kind of a collaboration between still an existing big record store in Oslo called Big Dipper and another record production company. Great kind of jazzy, psyche, fusiony album. Some may say he's kind of hunting for his style here a bit, but when are permitted to do that, and highly recommend it. It's still, at least in the US, obtainable, I believe, in one online store. Really love Terje Rypdal, and very happy I got that for Christmas from my family. Then name 3 songs, favorite songs from the '60s. All starting with some Proghat and Amandul 2's debut album follows Day, and my favorite on this album is the Lucifer Guillaume track, which is perhaps a bit wild and not the easiest thing to get into, but well worth the time if you sit down and work on it, which I often think is the way music should be. This may be viewed as somewhat of a cliche response, but trying to also stick to vinyl. My collection so far is very 70s heavy, but In the Court of Crimson King by King Crimson, of course, and from '69, their debut album, which really is a milestone album in all sorts of ways, and I would have to say probably 21st century schizoid man. From this album, and I don't know if we need to say too much more on that, but that's the Steven Wilson remastered edition, which I really do enjoy Steven Wilson's remasters. Finally, Jimi Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love, and my favorite from here is, for various reasons, Spanish Castle Magic. Certainly a lot to pick from Jimi Hendrix in the '60s that I could say are kind of in the favorite category. Reason I'm saying Spanish Castle Magic is that there was a Norwegian guitarist, Marius Miller. He had a band called Marius Miller's Funhouse. It was popular kind of late '80s, early '90s, probably, that time frame. They had an excellent cover version of this, and that's actually how I got to know the song Spanish Castle Magic, and I bought that CD for my dad for Christmas while I was still living with my parents, and remember thinking in hindsight that wasn't the worst Christmas present I could have given, because I quite enjoyed the album myself. So someday I'd like to get some of that into my collection as well. I think it's a little tough to get a hold of now, but anyway, so Jimi Hendrix, Spanish Castle Magic, one of my 3 favorite tunes from the '60s. A favorite artist from the '60s, or that was active in the '60s and is still active, has been active for many, many years, and I don't have an album from him from the 60s. Familiar with some of his music from the 60s, so I will show something a little different. This is my Jeff Beck guitar tab anthology, and one of the 60s tunes that I like, that I play. Maybe I have this wrong with Beck's Bolero. I believe that is a 60s era Beck tune. By no means good at it, but it's kind of fun to play in the basement for myself, and the family may be forced to listen to some of it. But finally, for I believe a double chance to or kind of two entries into the contest, show a favorite artist active, show an album from 1968. I will show The Doors, and only have The Doors on CD so far. Waiting for the Sun, I think, is strong. The Doors album. And yeah, which one is my favorite here for tunes? I don't know. There's I think pretty strong album overall, and it's one of my hobbies. I do have a somewhat Robbie Krieger-esque guitar. This is a Epiphone SG Pro guitar, which is kind of the budget version of a Gibson SG. Nothing too special with this guitar, but it has somewhat of the likeness, at least. Probably a lot of details that are certainly different, but from Robert Krieger's guitar. But one of my favorites, and very early on in my guitar playing days, I really enjoyed playing Riders on the Storm, learning the main part of that, and I still do that on occasion, though my guitar practice time is not quite as much as I would like. One of my goals for this year to remedy. Anyways, that is my contest entry. Good luck getting more subscribers. Edward, thanks for setting up the contest. Take care, everyone.